Thank you for staying with us on this fun-filled Friday on Antigua Barbuda today. Joining us today are Mr. Andrew Doumith, Business Development Manager at the Antigua Computer Technology and Allmat. And we also have Ms. Ricki Camacho, Registrar of the Antigua and Barbuda Intellectual Property and Commerce Office. And they're here this morning to talk about Feel the Beat of IP Children's Songwriting Competition that was launched in celebration of World IP Day 2025. It encourages young creatives to learn about intellectual property through music, which means that we also have the 2025 winners in studio. But first, good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
And a very happy new year, because we're still saying happy new year, right?
Very happy new year to our listening and viewing public. Wishing everyone a healthy new year.
We're
delighted to be here to celebrate our winners, and it's perfect timing as we have this One Nation concert as we talk about music and music rights.
Indeed, well, thank you so much. And let's speak about before we get into the discussion of the competition, when is World Intellectual Property Day usually celebrated, and what is it really about?
So World Intellectual Property Day is celebrated every year on April 26th. And mark your calendars, everyone, because we'll be celebrating again this year with our wonderful sponsors, we hope ACB and ACT Allmart. And basically, the day is about recognizing our artists and creatives and people in our society who make our world a better place in so many ways. So it's about encouraging innovation and creativity.
And with the notion of encouraging innovation and creativity, the competition was birthed over 10 years ago. Tell us about what the 2025 edition was about.
So the 2025 competition was about creating original music piece that was about music protection and encouraging others not to copy or steal other people's music work, which is really important because these competitions were generated over time, basically to encourage children to grasp concepts or show us that they grasp concepts that are perhaps complex, and they have demonstrated over time that not only do they grasp them, they excel at them, and that our youth are more than capable of encouraging innovation and creativity and showing us that it can be protected. So we should be very much inspired by our winners today and by our youth in general.
Most definitely. And Mr. Doumith, ACT and Allmat has been a long-standing partner. Tell us, why is this so important to both organizations?
As Allmart, we've been proud actually to be great sponsors of the Intellectual Property Office since 2018. That's because we believe in the importance of protecting intellectual property and branding and those persons' creativity, whether it be in art, music lyrics, song lyrics, your logo, like brand identity in general. We think it's very, very important. And what we admire a lot about this competition is that it really ingrains these concepts in youth at a very young age, whether they're in primary school or secondary school. And that's a very unique opportunity for these younger people, because I know the majority of persons don't really hear these concepts and they're not exposed to them until they're usually in college years or even after they're in the work world, and it's too late to protect their intellectual property. So
exactly.
And speaking about the concepts, Ms. Camacho, how do initiatives like these help young persons to understand the value of creativity and originality?
Well, competitions like this expose young people to basic concepts of copyright, trademark, and other complicated areas of intellectual property like patents. So from a very young age, they're exposed to what that means, which means it gives them the tools to protect. And this is what these competitions are about, is educating our population so that they feel equipped to protect their intellectual property rights. And I just want to mention that the awards has been named after my previous deputy of blessed memory. So it's the Carden Conliffe Intellectual Property Award that our two students one from Island Academy, Anushri Saput, and Miss Aliyah Alfred from the St. Anthony's Secondary School are our winners this year. And they are receiving that award because Mr. Clark dedicated his life to protecting intellectual property. So we see this as most fitting. And he was very passionate about music in particular. So I just want to say that it's very important, and this competition is a little unusual because it gives our students at an early age exposure to different types of topics that they wouldn't normally do. And we have seen over time that the students that enter and win go on to achieve greatness because they are interested. And we really need to encourage our students asking more questions and not being afraid of seeking information. And the Intellectual Property Office on St. John Street is here to give any information to students as well as the general public as it relates to intellectual property rights.
Yeah, with what you just said, I became interested to find out how many entries. But before we get there, I'm going to go back to Mr. Doumith, just to ask you, from a private sector perspective, what made this one that you really wanted to support?
So what made this initiative one that we always want to support year over year is really admire how they expose the concepts to the students at a really young age. We think that's very unique, both in primary and secondary schools, and they do it in different ways, like in different times. 1 year might be an art-focused competition, whereas I know this year it's song lyrics, and we like those different concepts, and it's always different faces that we see each year. And we see how proud they are of their art pieces that they portray to us in the competition. We see all students as a winner that participate because we think that just even participating in such a unique competition is a step forward for them, you know? So.
And one thing that you said is unique competition, and indeed it is. And you just mentioned that there are different aspects of the areas of work that you expose them to. So whether it is art, songwriting, and that's interesting to hear. And Ms. Camacho, I just want to ask now, the response for 2025 that led us to the winners that we have in studio, what was the response like?
So the response was fairly a decent response. I would say that the art competitions are a bit more popular than the music ones. I think we need to applaud our brave students for singing and writing original pieces, which is quite difficult. So it was a fairly decent turnout. But we really are excited for 2026 as we're going to have another competition, which will be IP and Sports Ready, Set, and Innovate. And we will be focusing on cricket and sailing. And we haven't finalized working out what the details of the new competition will be, but we're excited. We hope to work with our sponsors this year. And we know Antigua and Barbuda has many notable sports persons, so we're definitely really excited about 2026.
And I know we have to take a quick bump to head over to the winners, but what would you like to say to persons in terms of respecting creative work, music, whatever it is? What would you like to say to them from the IP perspective?
From an IP perspective, what I would really like to say is, for those creating, educate yourself as much as possible about your intellectual property rights and protect them. Do not think because you're small or you're in a small place that your work does not have value, that it doesn't deserve to be protected, because it does. And for those out there utilizing other people's intellectual property rights, please be aware that, every time you use someone's work without fairly compensating, you are depriving that artist or person of a means. And what would the world be without music? What would it be without innovation and cures for diseases and new technologies that make our lives better? And inventors and creators will not be able to continue to invent and create without protection of their works and a way to sustain themselves. So that's the message I'd like to leave to the public today.
Oh, and thank you so much for joining us, to both of you. Of course, I'm sure you appreciate the partnership with Allmat and ACT, and of course a major sponsor, ACB. So we see the work that you've been doing, and we're going to take a quick bump so we can get over to the 2025 winners. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Thank you.